Greetings, travelers of the human heart, and welcome back to Anything You Want, the digital sanctuary where we refuse to accept the superficial narratives fed to the masses. Here, we peel back the gilded layers of celebrity culture to expose the raw, beating pulse beneath. We are not just telling stories, we are documenting the human condition under the microscope of fame. Before we descend into today's tempest, I ask you to anchor yourself in our community. Press that like button to show you value truth, subscribe to ensure you never miss a chapter of these unfolding sagas, and, most importantly, consider clicking the join button. By becoming a member, you are not merely a viewer, you are a patron of in-depth, fearless storytelling. Your support allows us to keep the lights on and the investigations deep. Today, we turn our gaze toward a figure who has long been the definition of composure, charm, and gentlemanly grace, Karim Bürsin. But the man we are discussing today is not the polished icon of romantic comedies. We are looking at a man pushed to the absolute brink, a man standing in the crossfire between the woman he loves, the family that raised him, and a media machine hungry for his collapse. What happens when the golden boy of Turkish cinema finally cracks? What happens when a simple question about marriage acts as the detonator for a reservoir of pain that has been filling up in silence? Stay with us, here on Anything You Want, as we dissect the anatomy of a breakdown. To understand the gravity of what transpired this week, we must first set the stage. The event was billed as a standard media gathering, a ritualistic affair where microphones are thrust like spears and smiles are worn like armor. For years, Karim Bürsin has navigated these waters with the skill of a seasoned captain. He is known for his wit, his deflection, and his ability to charm even the most predatory of tabloids. However, witnesses describe the atmosphere in the room on this particular evening as distinct, heavy, almost sepulchral. It was as if the air conditioning had failed, replaced by a suffocating humidity born of unsaid words and lingering rumors. The press corps, sensing blood in the water, had been circling for days. The rumors of a rekindled romance with Hande Erçel had shifted from whispers to roaring headlines, and the tension was palpable. It was a psychological siege disguised as a Q&A session. And then, it happened. A single reporter, emboldened by the collective curiosity of a nation, launched the projectile that would shatter the peace. Is a wedding with Hande Erçel imminent? Are the vows finally being written? It was a question that, on the surface, seemed celebratory. Yet, in the context of Karim's current reality, it was a precision strike on an open wound. The transformation that swept over him was instantaneous and terrifyingly human. The ease evaporated from his posture. His shoulders, usually relaxed, coiled tight with the tension of a spring about to snap. His jaw, often quick to offer a smile, ground into a lock of suppressed fury. But it was his eyes that told the true story, a glazing over, a darkened shift from engagement to defense. This was no longer a celebrity entertaining his fans, this was a man cornered in a trap, looking for an exit that did not exist. I pause here to ask you, the discerning viewers of Anything You Want, do you believe there is a limit to what the press should ask? When does a question stop being journalism and start being harassment? We want to hear your stance on the ethics of fame in the comments below. The silence that followed the question was deafening, a vacuum in which the entire room seemed to hold its breath. When Karim finally spoke, the sound was not the booming voice of an angry star, but the trembling, resonant frequency of a soul in distress. It was a voice heavy with sediment, layers of sleepless nights, private arguments, and the crushing weight of expectation. He did not scream. He did not storm out. Instead, he unraveled. His response was a verbal outpouring of exhaustion. He spoke of boundaries that had been pulverized, of a personal life that had been treated like public property, and of the sheer, unadulterated fatigue of living a life scripted by others. It was a manifesto of vulnerability. He was reacting to the marriage question, yes, but he was answering 1,000 other unasked questions about his pain. He was channeling the frustration of every stolen moment, every leaked photo, and every judgment passed by strangers who claim to know his heart. This moment was significant because it stripped away the illusion of the superhero actor. We often forget that behind the designer suits and the million-dollar contracts, there are human nervous systems capable of overloading. Karim Bürsin, in that trembling moment, became the avatar for everyone who has ever felt overwhelmed by the demands of the world. He showed us that even the strongest among us have a breaking point. If you are finding value in this deep psychological breakdown, please take a second to hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this story with others who need to hear it. And remember, our Join members get a special badge next to their name in the comments, showing everyone that you are a core part of the Anything You Want family. To truly comprehend the magnitude of this outburst, we must look backward, into the shadows of the past few weeks. The catalyst for this entire storm can be traced back to the now infamous images of the Pink House, the secluded villa where Karim and Hand had sought refuge to rebuild their fragile connection. What was intended to be a sanctuary, a hermitage for two souls trying to find their way back to one another, was violated by telephoto lenses and drone cameras. Those close to the situation suggest that Karim has been walking through a minefield ever since those images leaked. He is described by friends as a man under siege, not just from the outside, but from within his own fortress. The narrative of Romeo and Juliet is often romanticized, but the reality of forbidden love is gritty, exhausting, and painful. This brings us to the most volatile element of this saga, the family. Reports indicate that the primary source of Karim's anguish, and the real reason that innocent question about marriage triggered such a visceral reaction, is the staunch disapproval of his own family. Imagine the internal war. On one side, the woman who holds your heart, with whom you have a chemistry that ignited the world. On the other side, the bloodline that raised you, standing firm like a granite wall against your union. The leaked photos didn't just fuel tabloid gossip, they reportedly detonated peace treaties within his private life, reopening wounds that had barely begun to scab over. When the reporter asked about marriage, Karim wasn't just hearing a question about a ceremony. He was hearing the echo of his family's refusal. He was feeling the sting of the impossible choice he is being forced to make every single day. Let us delve deeper into the psyche of the man. Sources intimate with the actor paint a portrait of a person drowning in guilt. This is not the guilt of wrongdoing, but the guilt of the protector who cannot protect. Karim is known to be deeply empathetic, a man who absorbs the emotions of those around him. It is whispered that his greatest fear is not for his own reputation, but for Hand's emotional survival. He sees the scrutiny she endures. He watches as the media dissects her every move, analyzing her appearance, her silence, her decisions. He knows that their reunion has placed a target on her back, and he feels responsible. The outburst at the press event was, in many ways, an act of desperate shielding. It was a man throwing himself in front of the bullets, trying to divert the chaos away from the woman he loves, even if it meant exposing his own raw nerves to the world. He wants to marry. He wants the fairy tale. But how can one plan a wedding in the middle of a war zone? How can you pledge eternity when the present moment is filled with the cacophony of disapproval? This is the tragedy of Karim Bürsin. A man ready for commitment, yet paralyzed by circumstance. This raises a difficult question for all of us. If you were in Karim's shoes, would you choose the love of your life even if it meant losing the support of your family? Or is blood always thicker than water? It is a dilemma as old as time. Tell us what you would do in the comments below. The aftermath of the event was instantaneous. In the digital age, news travels at the speed of light, and the footage of Karim's emotional unraveling spread like wildfire across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The video loops endlessly, the intake of breath, the tightening of the eyes, the trembling voice. But the reaction from the public has been polarized, creating a schism in the fanbase. On one side, there is a wave of immense compassion. Fans are rallying around him, using hashtags to call for privacy and respect, recognizing the signs of burnout and mental exhaustion. They see a hero who needs saving. On the other side, there is speculation and critique. Some argue that this is the price of fame, that if you live by the camera, you must die by the camera. Others worry that this instability is a sign that the relationship itself is too volatile to survive. Social media has become a battleground of opinions, but amidst the noise, one truth remains: Kerem Bürsin has changed the conversation. He has forced the Turkish public and his international following to confront the human cost of their obsession. He has drawn a line in the sand with his own tears. As we move toward the conclusion of this narrative, we must look at the road ahead. The atmosphere in the room after his speech was described as heavy enough to crush bone. Even the most aggressive paparazzi lowered their lenses. There was a collective realization that they had pushed a human being too far. Kerem stands today at a crossroads. He is exhausted, a warrior with dented armor. Han stands beside him, equally wounded by the rejection of his inner circle. The family remains immovable. The media remains hungry. The question is no longer when is the wedding. The question is, can they survive? Can love flourish when it is starved of sunlight and fed only judgment? Kerem's outburst was a plea for oxygen. He is asking the world, his family, and the press to back away and let them breathe. He is asking for the basic human right to define his own future without a committee of millions voting on his happiness. We want to know your predictions. Do you think Kerem and Han will overcome this immense pressure and walk down the aisle, or will the external forces prove too strong to break? Who should we investigate next on our channel? Is there another star whose silence speaks volumes? Let us know. The lights of the press conference have dimmed, but the shadow cast by Kerem Bürsin's honesty remains long and dark. We have witnessed a moment of truth in an industry built on lies. We have seen the pain of a son, the desperation of a lover, and the exhaustion of an idol. This story is far from over. It is a developing saga of the human spirit fighting against the machinery of fame and tradition. As we wait for the next chapter to be written, we send our thoughts to those in the eye of the storm, hoping that peace finds them before the next headline does. Thank you for trusting Anything You Want with your time and your attention. If this story moved you, please like the video to support our work. Subscribe so you are here for the next revelation. And if you believe in the power of independent, deep dive storytelling, click that join button to become a pillar of our channel. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, remember that every smile hides a story, and here, we read every line.